Alright, what's going on, everybody? This is Greatest Bro on Turf. Before I want you to watch this video, I want you to look at the title. The title of the video is Why Jeff Fisher Should Be Fired. And with that title, you should know exactly what I'm going to talk about. Jeff Fisher is mainly known for being, at one point, the longest tenured head coach in the NFL. He was with the Houston, Tennessee franchise for 17 years. And that, in and of itself, when you look at his record in Tennessee, that in and of itself is astounding that he was able to survive that long, especially in a climate where coaches all the time are fired, a year into their tenure. He had a string, two season long strings where they were, a really good team, almost elite, almost. And those are the highlight. Of course, the Super Bowl game against the Rams, which literally gives you no greater example of why they call football a game of inches. I mean, dude was like that close. But anyway, like I said, his tenure, it was largely uneventful. 5-6 overall playoff record, somewhere around, I think, 52% win percentage. As you know, you don't need to be a mathematician to know that that's barely above 500. And then he comes here to St. Louis. Why he was hired? Just the hiring in itself to me never made sense. I don't understand why you would hire a guy, why you have a team who's been one of the worst teams in the NFL for the past 5 years. I'm talking about before he got hired. It's been, has had the worst stretch in NFL history in the last 5 years. And to bring out a guy, you don't bring out a guy who is known as a guy who had a good team, that was just, a few, ticks away from being, this was a guy who was, to keep it real, mediocre. He was really mediocre. His entire career, he's been really mediocre. To say, let's not go out, let's not get a guy who's a known winner. Let's not get a guy who we know can build a team. Let's go get a guy who his claim to fame is losing in the Super Bowl. That in and of itself just never made sense to me. And you know what I'm saying? The thing about Jeff Fisher's team is you look at this team, the St. Louis Rams, you look at this team, and it's just typical of a Jeff Fisher team. A good physical team, old school team, its foundation in power run and a physical defense. But just a team that just always just seemed to be on the cusp of being good enough. Always seemed to be, man, just, what I'm saying, just close. If they could, what I'm saying, if they could, zigged instead of zagged, they'd be all right. And, what I'm saying, and to give you proof, just look at this last year. We went 6-10. There were 4 or 5 games which we should have won. We beat San Francisco once in their stadium, their brand spanking new stadium. But in the Monday night game, which was, absolute embarrassment. They hyped up the game. It was supposed to be the return of the greatest show on turf. Everybody was there. We wore the old LA blue and golds, which I really don't like those jerseys. That's just me. I understand the history behind them and everything, but just from an aesthetic point of view, I like the blue and whites more. If we're gonna wear a throwback, that's just me. But like I said, we brought out the greatest show on turf. We made this a tribute game to them, and we came out and in the first quarter smacked San Fran, smacked them. It was 14-0. They, it just looked like everybody was like, wow, where is this St. Louis team? Where is this Rams team been You know what I'm saying? If they played like this more often, they'd be a playoff team. And it really didn't even start in the second half. It started right at the end of the second quarter. 35 seconds left to go. They're on their own 20. Janoris Jenkins bites on a slant and go, which is really stupid. You got to play situational football. They've got to get a lot of yards. Just give them the 10 yards. Just play off and give them the easy points, and come up and make the tackle. But no, him being his hit or miss self, which you know what I'm saying. Love him to pieces, but sometimes it's times like that where you're just like, come on, man. And of course, Randall Lloyd takes it 80 yards. It's 14-10, and then in the second half, they just run off with it. The Dallas game. The Dallas game. We were up 21-0 at one point. 21-0. And we just cough up the game. Just cough it up. I'm sitting there thinking about, what is going on? This is, it was, the Dallas last year, they were one of the best teams in the NFL. If we have that win on our resume, imagine how good that looks on our resume. But no, we coughed up the lead, The Charger game. And this is when you go back and you look at the Super Bowl, I don't even feel bad for the Seahawks because we had the San Diego game was exactly like that. If you're a Rams fan, the story. Tavon Austin takes a kick almost to the house. They call some bogus penalty somewhere, which was it was a horrible call in that time. But anyway, Kenny Britt goes and makes probably the play of his season. Probably his best play of the season. Catch gets us down. I think we run the ball one more time. And Brian Schottenheimer, for some reason, decides to call the exact same play that Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator called. A slant on the goal line. I can't remember who the exact player was that picked it off, but San Diego picks it off when we lose the game. The season finale against Seattle. We were in that game. We were leading 6-0 at halftime. And I don't know. I guess we just gave up at the end. I don't know. And it's not just this season that's happened. We've lost games like that before. You look at the I forgot to the two Arizona Cardinal games. Again, we were leading, and I believe in both those games we were leading in the fourth quarter, and we just and if it sounds like I'm being nitpicky or whatever, it sounds like I'm just look at the talent he has to play with, or you know what I'm saying. You want to look at the talent he has, but when Jeff Fisher got this job, he was allowed to hire his own GM. He was allowed to hire his own training staff. So anything that you want to talk about the roster is his fault as well, because Les Snead has put together a good young squad. Where anybody in the NFL will look at us and say, St. Louis is one of the more talented young rosters in the NFL, but they just can't seem to get themselves together, and a lot of it has to do with stupid mistakes in crunch time in games, and that's going to happen with any young team, but it happens a lot with Jeff Fisher teams. It happens a lot. It just does. To be honest, like I said, and every year that he's been here, in the 3 years we've been here, we've gotten worse. His first year we were 7-8-1. We were the only team that year that San Francisco went to the Super Bowl. We were the only team that they could not beat. Little old us, when Kaepernick was lighting things up. We brought Kaepernick. Kaepernick should thank us, because we knocked Alex Smith out of the game. We gave him a concussion. He comes in, starts running the ball over the place, and the rest is history. He gets a Beats commercial. He poses naked. Richard Sherman denies him a chance to go back to the Super Bowl. So we made Colin Kaepernick. We made him. He should give us a percentage of his contract. Let's keep it real. But you know what I'm saying? And like I said, we've gotten worse. First year we were 7-8-1. Last year we were 7-9. This past year 6-10. When you talk about a team that's progressing, their record should get better. Our record hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. 7-8-1 through the first year. Last year we were 6-10. I get that we've had injuries, but even through those injuries, as I just chronicled, we were still in a lot of the games that we won. And in a lot of the game, and in some games, we beat teams that we know we shouldn't have, or people think we shouldn't. We spanked the Denver Broncos. We smacked the. You want to look at a microcosm for the game? It's when Rodney McLeod just obliterated Emmanuel Sanders on that one play. That's a microcosm for that game. We came in and we smacked Denver around. We held them to the lowest, their lowest scoring total in Broncos history. And then a couple weeks after that, we go and then in the first game of the season, we lose to the Minnesota Vikings 34-6, I think was the score. And then we get blown out by the Giants. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it has to do with, again, Jeff Fisher has hired his own staff. He's hired his own GM. So any of the problems that you want to say is not his fault, those are guys that he has hired. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, you said, well, Brian Schottenheimer's gone. Brian Schottenheimer wasn't fired. He decided to leave. Which tells me, in my opinion, if Jeff Fisher would have had his way, he'd probably still be here. And like I said, you know, our record's just gotten. I don't see, especially when you look at the San Francisco 49ers situation, when they had Jim Harbaugh. I don't know whichever one he is. I don't know. I'm just gonna say Harbaugh. Harbaugh came in. They went to the conference championship. They went to the Super Bowl. And went to the conference championship. They missed the playoffs one time. They missed the playoffs one time, and Harbaugh gets fired. But this dude, we don't even sniff the playoffs, and people will, this year it's not a make or break year. Well, when is it? When is a make or break year? He's gotten worse every year since we've been in. His teams have, his teams have never been great scorers, except for the year, except for the years that he had Steve McNair, or I remember there was a year when Vince Young was on the cover of Madden, and then they had CJ2K back when he was CJ2K, and they started off the season 10-0, I think, and then they just lost in the playoffs. One game, they're done. You look at, you know what I'm saying? You look at the climate of the NFL. Everybody's a win now person. The Raiders, it seems like they hire and fire a coach every new year. I mean, every year. Who else? You know what I'm saying? Just coaches just aren't usually given as much leeway as he's been. The Browns are another team that switch coaches a lot. You know what I'm saying? The Cowboys finally got tired of Wade Phillips. They let him go. I thought he was a better coach than people gave him credit for. They let him go. I just don't see what is it about Jeff Fisher in his past that's made you think that he can bring this team out of. And part of it is because, you look at everybody, he's from California. He went to USC. He's kind of known, he's known to be as cool as a California cucumber. And he's a player's coach, and the players really like him. Well, that's all well and good, you know what I'm saying. But this is a win. This is a league that's measured in wins and losses. And the wins and losses are measured by how many points a team scores. His teams just generally don't get the job done. I get, so maybe, you know what I'm saying. Maybe you keep him around in some fashion. Maybe give him a meaningless front office job. Maybe just keep him around as player happiness coordinator, or something. Go ahead, do that. But as a head coach, I'm done with him. I've been done with him for a couple years. I think it's time to move. As for replacements, I don't know. I would have to go out and see who's available. I know John Gruden. Any coaching vacancy that ever pops up, I'm always gonna say, why don't they go after John Gruden? John Gruden has said he doesn't want to come back, but I don't know. I think for the right amount of money, uh, I think he would. But for a guy who has again one of the more you know one of the more talented young rosters on the league, you know, to sit there and actually say, I laughed about it last season, but it really is kind of sad. The Cleveland Browns did better than us last year. Everybody wants to always talk about how bad Cleveland is. The Cleveland Browns did better than us. I mean, come on, man. They had Brian Hoyer, a guy who I like. I like Brian Hoyer. I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he did in Cleveland. He's there, the only Cleveland quarterback to have a winning record in the last 10 years, I believe. Which, again, wouldn't be hard, but still, you got to give credit where credit is due. But he's injury prone. And at one point, they were at 7-5 and tied for the record. I mean, tied for the lead in the AFC North. The AFC North with Cincinnati, with Baltimore, with Pittsburgh. You know what I'm saying? And, they did better than him. I mean, they did better than we did last year. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't look at this team and I don't see 6-10 and I don't see, oh, well, yeah, things are going to turn around. How? How? Jeff Fisher's never strung together, a whole bunch of consecutive seasons where, his teams have been really good. His teams have been good for, like 2 years, and then they're mediocre, at some points bad, and then, they pop out, a 10-win season, and then, you know what I'm saying, I just don't, if there's something you're seeing, then I'm saying please enlighten me, because I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing why he should get another stab at it. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But I think Stan Kroenke has made it obvious that he wants to come to LA. And if and when we do come to LA, I don't think he's going to be the guy. I don't think he should be the guy at the helm when we come to LA. I think the Rams fan base as a whole deserves a better coach, and I think LA deserves a better coach. So that's my humble opinion. I don't know if you expecting me to do an EDP type rant. That's not me. I'm not gonna, tear my whole room up, throw stuff around, tear jerseys. I'm not gonna do that. You may see me get emotional every once in a while, but I like to keep things a little more. I like to keep things a little more level-headed. And actually sound like I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna, make a fool of myself just to do, just to get some subscribers. You know what I'm saying? I'm like Rosenberg Raw. You know what I'm saying? See what they do for views. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do all that. This is Greatest Bro on Turf. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. I know some of the stuff I said probably sounded retarded, or excuse me. I know I'm not supposed to use terms like that. Probably sound like I overreacted or something like that. If you feel that way, if you agree with me, if you don't, like I said, hash it out in the comment section. Like the page, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter at GreatestBroLA. One other thing you could do is, on Twitter, hit me up with either the hashtag keep Jeff Fisher or fire Jeff Fisher. You know what I'm saying? It may be a little tidbit about why you think either way. So, like I said, Greatest Bro on Turf signing out.